120 Seconds to Life-Changing, The Power of Consistency. English psychologist David McClelland said, "From a psychological point of view, all people in the world can be divided into two groups. The first group is the minority that perceives any challenge as an opportunity to change their life for the better and does everything possible to succeed. The second group is the majority, which is primarily concerned with survival." Dale Carnegie has a story about an unusual man. His story is another vivid example of the fact that he who wants to do more than he who can. Here is the story. Dr. Peck's Cadman is one of the most famous men in America who devoted many years of his life to the work of a radio preacher. One of the most amazing facts of this amazing man's biography was that he started his working life in a coal mine at the age of 11. And for 10 long years, he worked 8 hours a day underground to support his younger brothers and sisters. It is understandable that at that time, it could not be assumed that he would receive any education. However, Cadman became one of the most popular authors in America. Once he admitted that he had perfected his knowledge of all stages of English literature. Working in the mine as a pony boy, he always had 1 or 2 minutes at the moment when the cart he had delivered was released from coal. At the same time, he did not miss the opportunity to look into a book. The mine was so dark that it was impossible to see one's own hand. And yet he read by the light of an old dim lamp. Each time, reading took him barely more than 120 seconds. And yet the book was always at hand. He said he would rather do without breakfast than without a book. He knew that only education would help him get out of the mine. And for 10 years, he read all the books he could beg or borrow from the neighboring village. Their total number was then more than 1,000 volumes. It is not surprising that the boy advanced in his development. Nothing could stop him on this path except a gunshot. After 10 years in the mine, he passed the exams with flying colors and became a scholarship holder at the University of Richmond. As you can see, 120 seconds can change a whole life. Psychologists have a term for this: 1 hour a day. If a person devotes 1 hour a day to a certain activity, such as reading, studying a science, or working out, sooner or later they will achieve success in it, even without talent or favorable conditions, according to specialists. That's because faith, desire, and constant practice are more important than any other conditions and circumstances. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote her famous book Uncle Tom's Cabin in between numerous household chores. Abraham Lincoln studied law during his night shifts while guarding a goods store. Many of his best poems, Robert Burns wrote while working on a farm, during short breaks. Shoemaker Charles Frost once decided to devote 1 hour a day to scientific studies and, as a result, became one of America's most outstanding mathematicians. Margaret Mitchell, the author of Gone with the Wind, created her masterpiece over a period of 10 years, devoting a dozen or so free minutes to it each day. She recorded its chapters on scraps of paper, ranging from a few paragraphs to a single sentence. Her house was cluttered with such scraps of paper, and not only her neighbors but the author herself laughed at this eccentricity. German psychologist Nikolaus Enkelmann expressed the formula for success in these words: belief leads to action. Repetition leads to mastery. Concentration leads to success. It is said, true education is not received but taken. The same can be said about happiness, success, and wealth. A math professor teaches a math professor. We learn the most important things in life ourselves, if we only want something more than mere survival. Thanks for watching, like this video and subscribe to the channel.